Our next step is going to be to develop the introduction. Now, in our introduction, we should acknowledge the issue that was presented in the prompt. So in this instance, we need to use some kind of a hook to make the reader interested, right? We use and it doesn't have to be something super complicated. It doesn't have to be so grand that, it has to be the most catchy thing in the world. But it should at least address the topic at hand, right? And after you introduce the issue, give your thesis. It doesn't have to be very fancy. The first paragraph of your introduction only needs to be like 3 sentences, maybe 4 sentences, if necessary. But generally, you want to introduce it with a hook, something that talks about the general, the topic in this instance. Say something, for the admissions portion, it could be something like, recently, education has come to be viewed as a right of the public, similar to free speech or freedom of expression or whatever it is, right? So that's something that's a hook. It makes the reader interested, like, oh, we're now going to talk about education as a right for the public. And once you introduce the issue, give your thesis, right? You can introduce the issue by saying something like, this issue has come to the forefront because recently the cost of colleges has gone up significantly. And then you can say what your thesis is, right? And you can write down your thesis saying something like, while colleges and universities must balance their interests against the interests of their students, because education is a public right, public universities must do need-blind admissions, right? And so this should be the last line into your introduction, whatever thesis you've come up with. But make sure there's some kind of hook at the front, you connect it to the topic at hand, which in this case is college admissions, and then you state your thesis. That should be the last line into your introduction. That's how you develop a strong introduction.